Hey everyone, welcome to the Good News Podcast. Today we have a guest who many of you will likely know. Lexi Black is the chair of the board here at NBUC, North Brampton United Church. And she is also a branch manager with the Brampton Library and has been working hard in that field for many years. Lexi also is a single mom of two beautiful, amazing kids, Chloe and Cameron. And the reason we're having a conversation with Lexi today is because she has become a runner, a serious runner, but that's not where she started. It's an incredible story. I think you're going to be inspired. Friends, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Good News Podcast. Really, really glad that you could join us today. As I said in the introduction, this is an incredibly inspiring story, and I can't wait to have this conversation with you, Lexi. You have turned into a runner. God has turned you into a runner. It didn't happen easily, so I don't want to make it sound that way at all. It was a process. I can't wait to kind of get into that today and hear how it all happened and the impact that it's had on you and on others. But why don't we start at the beginning? Let's talk a bit about how you even started to run and what that was like.
Well, it was a process, as you mentioned there in your introduction. Definitely process. So let me just put it off the top. I've never been athletic, never really particularly enjoyed exercise. Most of my life, I avoided it like the plague. The only exception is I do have dogs, and I've had dogs all my life, so I would walk my dogs. But apart from walking, that was about it. And about 3 years ago, a coworker, a friend of mine that I worked with, signed up for a mud run, a women's only mud run for women of all fitness abilities. And she encouraged me to do it with her. So she'd have a teammate, somebody to do it with her. And I said, oh, okay, why not? Let's do it. Planning to walk it. Like I would walk the obstacle course. And sure, try it. And at the time, I was also part of Soul Movers, which was a small group run out of NBUC for runners and walkers. And I was one of the walkers at the time. And I mentioned it at the group with my friend Amy, who led the group. And then as I said, I'm doing a mud run. Do you think it's a mud run I should actually try running? I know. And she said, well, if you want to, I can help you with that. I can show you. So I said, okay, let's try. So we started meeting 3 times a week, and we started this process where we run for a little bit, and then we walk and run, walk. So you alternate back and forth, and gradually over time, the idea is that your stretches of running would become longer, and the walking periods would get shorter and shorter to the point where you didn't need the walking anymore. So I started. I could do 40 seconds before I had to walk. Like that was it. And then gradually worked up to a longer distance. And 5K was the goal because it was a 5K race. And eventually was able to do 5K. And it was amazing. I just, first of all, it felt really good to be able to do something that I'd never been able to do before. Like to push myself and to do something I never thought high school, gym class, never. Like I was one of those ones that walked around the track, never ran, right? So it was a big deal. So that was a piece. It was a lot of fun doing it with someone. There was a lot of laughs as we went through it together. And then this other piece was that I felt like there's this, I don't know, some people call it a runner's high, where you get these chemicals are released in your brain through exercise and through running. And I got that feeling, and it just was like, it was the best feeling. It felt great. Wow. And so I just started doing it. And then I would sign up for another 5K race, and I would do that and then do another. And then from there, I went to a 10K race, pushed myself to a 10. And then I thought, well, I'll try a trail run. And that's a completely different experience, going over routes and rugged terrain and stuff like that. And just gradually increased the distances and just kept up that regular routine of running.
Amazing.
So that's how I got started.
That's so cool. Now you mentioned that you're not that athletic, or you hadn't been, sort of thing. And that's a huge mindset, in my mind, right? And you just mentioned a little bit when you were younger, you were the kid in high, in phys ed class that walked instead of whatever, and how has that changed for you? And maybe it's still a process, because I think sometimes when things are deep within us, it takes time for God to change our mindset about ourselves.
Yeah.
But like, talk a bit about that shift for you from I'm just that non-athletic girl, if you will, to like now I'm a runner. I exercise daily.
Well, it is a mind shift, and there's that. I think they call it imposter syndrome, where you don't feel like you don't really belong. Like, here's this group of runners, they're hardcore, they have runners, the running room where there's a store just devoted for, like, that kind of thing, where you walk in there and you feel I felt totally like, I don't belong here. And I still have those moments, right? But then I realized that I am doing it. I'm doing it at my own pace. I may not be is moving as quickly or as going as far as some, but it really is a mind shift, and it took a long time. And I still think I have moments and days where I feel like, who am I kidding? I'm the kid that walks around the track. Who am I kidding? And then there are other days where it's like, yeah, I did it. I just ran 20K. I did it. Like,
absolutely.
It's a big,
Yeah. So it's funny because I can feel the energy coming. I can feel the smile as you recognize. No, I am a runner. I can run. I have run. I've come this far. And I'm thinking also that Romans 12, 1 and 2, it says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And it's like almost like God has transformed your mind about yourself and who you are, and that's so powerful. I just don't want to miss that. So. I'm really curious on how this running, because it's never just about one thing, we're a whole being, and there's so many facets to one's life. This is just one piece of your life. How has this change in mindset, recognizing we can all go back to that, in moments, but overall, I see a big shift in you, and you're a runner. You're an athlete now. Like well, you say not, others run farther, not much farther, because you've done a half, and you're going to go further than that. And you got a full in mind. So anyway, how has this impacted other areas of your life as well?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think physically it's impacted so much. Like, I have more energy. So I have more energy to do other challenging tasks, whether they're mentally challenging or physically challenging. I have overall more energy and stamina to do stuff. And my body is stronger so that I can do more. So I can do more with the kids. I can do more things around the house. I don't feel like everything is going to take me 3 days to recover because of back pain and stuff like that. So that has shifted. I think there's another piece to it that's like confidence, that I can probably do something like that, because I've been able to do this, and I never thought I would get to this, right? So if I can run a half marathon, starting at a point where I used to walk around the track in gym class and could run for 40 seconds before I was seriously winded and needed to come to a stop, and I can get to the point where I'm running 21.1 kilometers.
Exactly.
Right. Then I can probably tackle other challenges that are coming my way. So there's definitely more confidence. And I feel better about myself. I feel better about how I look. I feel better about how I carry myself. I just have more confidence in probably all aspects of my life from it. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing, eh? Yeah. And it started, with just saying yes to this mud walk that turned into a run, because it's mud run, right? But anyway, amazing, and just sometimes I think we don't realize how important it is to say yes to things once in a while. And you just never know where that's going to go, because who would have thought that would have led to where you are today and all of the other impacts that this has happened.
For sure.
As your friend, colleague in ministry, like we share so much of our life together, Lexi. You energize and inspire me, and I'm so proud of you, and I think many are, and so I just want to ask, what's been the impact on not just your life, but what's been the impact on the people around you, your family, your friends, maybe even people who have known you for years and have seen, like, whoa, this is amazing. This is cool. Yeah. What's been some of the impact on others? 'Cause I think that's also a piece that we sometimes miss, that when we say yes, when we stretch ourselves, when we do something that we didn't think we could before, absolutely it's important for us and our confidence, but it's also important because people are watching us all the time. There's people we share our life with others. And so what's been the impact, you think, on the people around you?
That's a great question. So I think with my kids, so Chloe's 16, Cameron's 14, I think just modeling for them that you're never too old or too slow or too overweight or too shy to try something new. So having that courage to try something new. Our activities have changed. So maybe we'd be more inclined to do a hike together and an outdoor activity, go skating together in the summer, go swimming and hiking, because I'm feeling more energized and want to do it, rather than let's watch a movie and eat popcorn together. Let's go and do something. So I think I invite them almost daily to join me on a run, and neither of them have taken me up on that yet. But there's always hope. But we're definitely more active and doing things like that. But I think the biggest difference is that they see me trying things that are new and scary and outside of my comfort zone, and hopefully that will give them the confidence to try as well when they're feeling stuck or uncomfortable. And friendships, like the planning activities around running, so connecting regularly with my friend Amy. One of the things that we do together is we run, and while we run, we catch up and we share life and stuff. And so instead of going out for dinner with someone, especially in COVID times, it's an outdoor activity that's socially acceptable in a time when you need to be physically distanced and outdoors. It's an activity that you can continue to do, but it's also just doing things that are healthier together.
No, that's awesome. Well, and I am sure, just because your kids at the age they aren't going out for a run with you, when you ask them on a morning now, I just have so much confidence that you're planting seeds for the future. And it may be on their own when they're at a different stage of their life and need a little boost, and they, Mom did that, I can do this too, so I'm sure. Hey, so absolutely, it's been a process, it's taken time, it's been a lot of hard work. We haven't really talked about the challenges that came along the way, because I think sometimes we can miss that part, and just don't want to be real with this too, right? Because where you are today, it's awesome, but man, it took some time to get here.
Absolutely.
And I suspect there were some hard days, some challenges, some things along the way that might be worth talking about as well. I heard recently a quote from John Maxwell. He said, if you want to impress people, tell them about your successes. If you want to impact people, tell them about your failures and how you overcame them. And so, as you think about this journey, what are some of the places where you've experienced challenge along the way that might be helpful for people to hear about? Because that's real. Because they're gonna and people may be hearing this, and it may be something completely different that they choose to do. That God's leading. Maybe they've wanted to pick up the guitar all their life and they haven't. Well, hey man, if Lexi can run and she wasn't a runner, then maybe I can pick up the guitar. Or whatever. But I'm pretty sure whatever it is people choose to do or are inspired to do, they're going to run into some challenges along the way. So just to hear about how some that were real for you and how you handled that.
So I think the biggest challenge is in my head, right? Okay. Is coming up with excuses not to do it. So I'm too tired. I have no energy. My back hurts today. The weather. Oh my goodness. The weather is probably one of the biggest challenges with running.
Too hot, too cold, too windy, too wet.
Yeah, there's 3 days in Canada out of the 3 days in Ontario that are ideal weather for running, and the rest of the time there's always something wrong. So it's overcoming these obstacles in your head to get past it. And so it's finding the strength, the energy, the motivation to persevere, even when your mind is giving you every reason in the book not to do that, not to practice, not to push yourself. So when I'm running a longer distance, there's thoughts that run through my head, every reason why I should stop at 5K instead of pushing myself to 10 or 15 or 20K. Oh, do that tomorrow, or do that another day, or your feet are starting to hurt. You maybe should. So the mind games, I think one of the best ways for me, especially at the beginning, that helped me overcome it was to have someone to do it with, or have someone to share it with. So once I said it out loud, that I was going to, that maybe I should try running. Maybe. I didn't even say I was going to. Maybe that was enough to, and I said it to someone else, someone I know and I trust and I care about, who wants the best for me. And so sharing it with them, that was, that helped me. And then having someone to do it regularly with. So that accountability piece is a big part. So for anyone trying something new, I would suggest, first of all, vocalizing it, saying it out loud to someone that you know and trust, and then finding someone maybe even further along their journey than you are, to share it with, that you can, if you don't do it with them, at least you can check in with them, whether it's a daily text to say, it was minus 12 outside, but I did it. I went for my walk, or I went for my run, or, I beat my personal best. But it's just to having someone to share it with.
Absolutely.
That's a big piece. But the challenge, I think, for me, the single greatest, besides the weather, was that voice in your head that's telling you not to do it, to give up, to stop, to go the easy route.
Yeah. Let's if we could just stay on that for a minute, because I'd love to know let's get into your head. Okay? Because you're in a moment, like that image really struck me that you talked about, like you're at the 5K mark, and instead of going 10, you're saying that's I can't go. That's all I got. I'm tired. It was a long day last night. I had a board meeting that went long, and Jamie talks too much, and and it's but like say you got all these reasons in your head to not continue.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you had many of those moments.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So what actually happens in your head, in your heart? Because I think that's a moment where, and I guess, have you, as you think back, were there times where you actually didn't continue, where you did stop?
Yeah.
So maybe two-part question, like when you did stop, when you did continue, when you did stop, how did you overcome that? How did you not just give up on running altogether? When you did continue, what was going on in your head that enabled you to keep going, even though you didn't want to, even though your body might have been saying,
it's crying.
You got, Like, I think that might be helpful for us to talk a bit about.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, there were days where I didn't complete my target for that day. And I found excuses to not run, or to not run the distance that I wanted to run. And sometimes when I look back, they were legitimate.
Sure.
Like it genuinely was minus 25 outside, and it was just too cold to be outside for that length of time. So I did a shorter run, and then found another day in the week where the temperature was a little bit milder, where I could complete it. And there were times where what was going on in my head was like, just give up, just stop, just quit. You've done this distance. No one's gonna fault you for it. You still got up, you got moving. It's better than nothing. Keep going. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go to that signpost. And I get to that signpost. Cool. Okay, that mailbox. Just go a little bit further. Okay, so I can keep running until the end of this song. And when I get to the end of the song, then I'll turn around and go back. Okay, that song was okay. I can, and so for me it was so you'd have those daily those ongoing battles in your head to overcome all those negative messages.
Yeah.
And it was setting small measurable little milestones along the way, even if it's just to the next sign, to the next post, to the next post.
It almost sounds like playing a little game with yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that was part of it. I think the other piece was having someone that I was so especially at the beginning when I was running with Amy all the time, she's ready for me. She's in her running gear. She's waiting for me. I can't give up now. Yeah, I can say I don't feel like it, but she's already there. So I can't let her down. So if I'm going to, even it's not just letting myself down, I'm letting my friend down. So I'm going to keep going for that. And there were days when she didn't feel like it either, but I was ready to go. So we motivate each other and keep each other accountable. I think that was a big part of it. So it was having that emotional support
Mm-hmm,
was a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important for people who are watching or listening.
Yeah.
Again, whatever activity it is that maybe you're being inspired to consider or reconsider, to have
Absolutely.
a partner, to have a friend, and maybe it's doing it with you. Maybe it's just like you said, someone who
Yeah.
you share this idea with, and they'll help you.
Yeah.
You know, which is the right person. They'll help
They'll
you.
check in with you
for
regularly.
sure. The word grace was coming to mind as you were talking about. Sometimes you just got to recognize like that it's not, because excuse has a negative connotation,
side,
I think, to it. But sometimes there's actually a good reason to take a break or to take a pause or to step back before you can even go further.
Sure.
Or, you know, and where is the role of grace that might be helpful as you think about this journey you've been on, as you think about what's still to come? Because I know you've got some ideas
Some
on where you
plans,
still want to go with running and keep pushing and growing, and
Yeah. So I'm not great at it in the moment. I'm better at looking back, reflecting back on my day or the day before, and going, okay, yeah, cut yourself some slack. You did run 4 days out of 5 that you were planning to do, so that was pretty good.
It's 4 more than most people.
Or look at the big picture here. So I think, but in the moment, I'm pretty hard on myself, and I really need to work on grace a little bit more. But I feel like I'm better at looking back and reflecting and looking at the legitimate reasons why. I think the other piece is that and for running, this is something you have to be worried about, is that you don't injure yourself. So you have to listen to your body, and you have to pay attention to the schedule that you set, because if you try to overdo it and you strain yourself in a certain area or injure yourself more seriously, then you're going to be out of commission for a long period of time and maybe permanently. And so you really have to, not only are you giving yourself grace because you maybe have had a bad day or you need a break, but also you've got to listen to your body, and otherwise you could really impact your long-term success. So that's a big piece of it too.
I'm smiling as you're talking because I'm not great with that either, and I won't get into all the gory details, but I pushed myself more than I should have this summer around some running and some Achilles issues that I was having, and my Achilles are still, if I do too much, and it's not too much, can be not what it used to be. Anyway, so totally agree. You got to watch for that stuff. And we talk about grace, and we talk about just giving yourself some space. But actually, like a lot of what we've talked about, there's a faith component in my mind. Where in you're such a faithful person, Lexi, and just really value that, and thank you for the way you live into your life as a follower of Jesus. Where do you see your faith? Where do you see God involved in this whole journey and where you are today?
I think that my faith development has grown along the same lines as my running growth. When I look back over the past 3 years when I've been running, it's my so part of running is setting a regular routine, right? So for me, I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody. For me, it's having that daily routine. And it's, for me, I run in the morning, so that's part of my morning routine. So as I'm building out that routine, I'm building out the rest of my routine and fleshing it out. So it's not more. So when I started what I call chair time, which is my devotional time, my prayer time in the morning, it was more hit and miss. If I had 10 minutes one day, that's great. Another day I might have 5. Another day I might have 20 minutes, a half an hour. But now that I'm much more structured and I have a routine for running, I also have more of a routine for my chair time, my time with God. And so that has really, the two have really gone hand in hand. I think that, and I don't remember which verse it is in the Bible, but the scripture that I would run through my head as I'm running, particularly the long distance. And I remember my first half marathon was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I should have written down.
I know that one, Philippians 4:13. I don't know them all. But that one I do know for sure.
That one, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
And just, okay, I can't do this on my own strength, but I'm getting the strength.
Wow.
And it's God that's giving it to me. So it's having some inspirational quotes and scripture verses like that fuel me as I keep going. Sometimes I listen to praise and worship as I run, right? Then that can change your whole mindset as you're running, for me anyways.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was listening
Yeah.
to some praise and worship when I was running this summer, and I found I would run faster. That wasn't necessarily a good thing. I had to actually pay attention to that because I didn't want to get too. But it just because the music, the worship, just
Yeah.
honestly, the experiencing the presence of God,
Yeah.
just really, really filled me,
Yeah.
rejuvenated me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, I don't know if I have it right. I think it's St. Elmo's Fire, where one of the characters is running on the beach, and the line.
Is that Chariots of
Chariots
Fire?
of Fire. What did I say?
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, it's Chariots of Fire. And I think the line is something like, "When I run, I feel God's pleasure. When I run, I feel God's presence." Something like that. And just that was something in this case, I think that was natural for this person to do, and they just felt fully alive when they did that.
Yeah.
It just made me think, how do you experience God or feel God's presence when you're running, when you're doing this, and maybe you didn't at first from what you said, but now, and anyway,
Well, I think
maybe you did then too. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think that runner's high that I talked about earlier, where you got almost like this feeling of euphoria, right? Where you're feeling so great. You just push yourself to do something that I've pushed myself to do something I haven't felt like I could do before. I feel really good about the energy, and I'm feeling grateful. I feel such gratitude for my health and for the strength in my body and for the endurance, and all that gratitude, of course, goes to God for God who's given me this body that can move like the way it does, and can rest and recuperate and adapt and keep going, and the strength. And so there's that gratitude and praise for God. I also run early in the morning. And often it's just before the sun comes up, and as the sun's coming up during the weekdays. And so, I mean, when you're seeing the sky gradually lighten, and the colors, right, the reds, the purples, the golds in the sky. I mean, I can't see a sunrise without thinking of God and just giving thanks for the beauty of the creation and the promise of a new day. And I think of every day is a fresh start, a new beginning, and that running experience where I'm seeing that light. It's like a visual reminder that this is a new day, a fresh start, and this is a new run, a new beginning, and it's one step in front of the other. And sometimes, just like life, one step in front of the other is all you can do, and it's a plod, and it's hard, and you're giving thanks to God that you got through, that you got that next step down and the next step down. And then there are other days where life is good, and you're just feeling so much gratitude for the great experience. And some runs are like that, where I'm just giving thanks for everything I've got. And then there are days where it's like, oh God, you got me through this one, this step. I didn't think I was going to make it to the 5-minute mark, let alone the 5K mark, let alone and so it's different parts. But for me, running is very spiritual, very spiritual experience where I feel very connected to God.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, thanks, Lexi. Let's do a little rapid fire here to close off. Okay. So the best thing going on in your home, in your family these days.
So I think with COVID, we've had to spend a lot more time together. We've been forced to, but we genuinely enjoy each other's company, and we're having a lot of fun together. And so I think the creative ways we've found to spend time together, like we did a paint night a couple weeks ago to celebrate my daughter's birthday, and just all of us painting together, and going on walks and hikes together. We walk the dogs together every day. I think it's just finding that time where we genuinely laugh and enjoy each other's company. I think that's the best thing going on in our house right now.
Beautiful. Love it. Okay, best thing going on in your community, your neighborhood.
In the community. So I love the green spaces, like the trails for walking and running along and taking the dogs out. Like I love that about Brampton. And also, I mean, the dynamic, the makeup of the community, the diverse cultures and perspectives, and the great foods, and just access to so much out there. I love that about Brampton. It's just no two people are the same. No two community groups are the same. It's such an eclectic mix.
So true. Okay. And last one, what's the best thing going on in our world?
In our world.
Big one.
That's a big question. again, I would say it's like the community is just the diverse perspectives and the different experiences that we all bring to, and how much we can learn and grow from one another. And that it would be so boring if we all thought the same and did the same things and enjoyed the same activities and foods. I think that's exciting and great, but one of the great things about our world.
For sure. And it's kind of cool how, we say Brampton's got a little taste of what the world is because we are so diverse. So I kind of like the alignment with that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Lexi, thank you so much for being a part of the Good News podcast today. I'm inspired by your story and your life. And I know you're not done and God's not done with you. There's still lots more to go. And maybe we should end with that. Like what's next for you as far as in the running world in particular?
So I'm training right now for my 3rd half marathon. And I'm going to do the 30K around the bay next year. That's my next goal. And eventually a half marathon or a full marathon. And I'm toying with the idea of trying a triathlon.
Wow. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That's great. That's great. Well, let's pray to close. Just want to give thanks. I'm going to give thanks. I want to give thanks for just this amazing story journey that you've been on and for sharing it today. I got to think people are going to be inspired and encouraged in their world as well, in their life. Thanks, Lexi.
Thanks
so much. Yeah. Oh God, thank you so much for the power of your presence in Lexi's life. Thinking back to simply saying yes to joining a friend on a mud run that would turn into so much more than that. It would turn into a new lifestyle, a transformation of Lexi's mind and even how she sees herself, let alone the overall health that she's clearly living into these days. So we thank you, we praise you for all of that, for those early morning runs where she experiences your presence and sees you in the beauty of this world. We pray for those who are watching and listening, that in whatever area of their life they might be feeling challenged or maybe excited to start something new but afraid to even begin, that they would be encouraged by this story and know that it is possible, that you can enable us to do things that we one day thought wasn't even possible. So thank you for all of this and more. We entrust it to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thanks again, Lexi, so much. Thank you everyone for joining us on the Good News Podcast. I hope to see you again soon. Oh my goodness. Well, friends, hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I could have talked with Lexi all day. I loved breaking it down. And even getting into what goes on in your head when you don't think you can go on, when you have these excuses or reasons where you want to stop. And I just love that scripture, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Just getting really kind of into how Lexi was able to grow in her ability to run. Amazing stuff. I love that we talked about grace. Grace is something that God gives to all of us. And the more we can be open to God's grace, man, the better off we'll all be. So love that it kind of went there as well. And then this whole thing about doing something that you thought would have been impossible for you to do. That's what makes this story so inspiring, if you ask me. Friends, I'm not sure where you are at or what's going on in your life these days, but my guess is each and every one of us has something that we thought about doing, but we thought, well, that's just not possible. I could never do that. That's not me. Well, maybe there's another story. Maybe there's another story that God's waiting to write, and all you got to do is say yes and take one step towards that, and who knows what will happen through it. So just want to encourage you. Hopefully you're inspired too, friends. Always good to be with you. Don't miss next week. We're going to be talking with another inspiring person who has an amazing story, Margaret Wallace Duffy. Margaret has been a leader in this community for many, many years and has touched and impacted this city in so many ways. I think you're going to love hearing her story as she continues to do those kinds of things. So hope to see you next week. Friends, don't forget to follow us on Instagram with Good News with Jamie Holtum on Instagram. And until next time, we'll see you then. God bless.